There's a pretty clear and unified message coming from this committee and from the Congress that we'd like to send to China. And it's this: China is not acting in good faith. And China is aggressively engaged in a series of troubling and downright protectionist policies that put our economic relationship at risk. Unless China immediately begins to eliminate trade barriers and ends its policies of economic nationalism by opening up its market to American-made goods and services, it could spur a breakdown in our relationship that would wreak havoc on both our countries and the global economy. From the blatant disregard of intellectual property rights to the creation of non-tariff barriers that make it hard for American companies and their workers to sell goods and services in China, American families and employers understandably find it difficult to trust China. Allowing China to run roughshod over us is not an option. It's in our best interest and that of the global economy for us to find a path forward. In light of the significant changes in the global economy and the acceleration of Chinese economic aggressiveness, I want to explore with the administration whether enough is being done to push China. And I strongly urge you, Mr. Chairman, to ask the administration to appear before us so we can continue this discussion. It is my hope that our witnesses today will clearly spell out China's most egregious trade barriers, giving both the Chinese and our own policymakers metrics by which to measure future progress. For example, the indigenous innovation policy provides a huge leg up to Chinese companies. And I recognize that some in China are reevaluating the mechanics of this policy, and I certainly appreciate that. But the bottom line is that China seems intent on giving homegrown products distinct advantages over products made by American workers. This is subsidy, plain and simple, and we need to deal with it directly. Furthermore, China has implemented predatory export restraints on raw materials to artificially lower the price of inputs for Chinese manufacturers while increasing the price artificially for the same inputs outside of China. The result necessarily favors the Chinese companies and discriminates against us. And as I alluded to, China's intellectual property rights regime and enforcement are still woefully inadequate. The massive levels of piracy cannot continue. This theft costs us billions of dollars and thousands of American jobs. China's repeated promises to fix this are ringing more and more hollow every day as this situation has only grown worse. The list of China's protectionist policies goes on, and we must make it clear that we will not sit idly by and let them engage in these discriminatory trade practices. Our response should include aggressive pursuit of WTO violations as well as resuscitating the bilateral investment negotiations begun with China several years ago. Such an agreement would give Americans considerably more rights in China and a dispute resolution mechanism with real teeth to protect U.S. jobs. China has 70 bilateral investment treaties in place, so 70 countries have greater rights in China than we do. That is simply unacceptable. In addition, further steps should be taken to compel our trading partners to engage with us in a cohesive front against Chinese policies. We can and must be firm, unequivocal, and direct with the Chinese on the points of friction in our bilateral economic relationship, and our trading partners should join us. My experience tells me that unified multilateral pressure is not only the most effective way, but sometimes the only way to address underlying problems with China. I want to thank Chairman Levin for holding this hearing and publicly state that this is an area I believe we can and should work closely together on. And with that, I yield back the balance of my time.
No, and thank you very, very much. All right, we're going to start.